Well, it's happened, guys. We've finally put down tracks and they're glued on. There's no going back now. Anyways, let's take a look at all this and the problems I've had along the way. Hey guys, welcome back to Proper Chuffed. My name's Hilton and I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing, but that's half the fun of this, isn't it? If you are new here, welcome aboard. I hope you enjoy this content, and if you do, please consider subscribing. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back, guys. It's good to see you again. Right, let's not mess around too much anyways. We've broken ground on the layout, or maybe broken ground's not quite the right word for it. We've put down cork on the layout, and things are getting pretty permanent now, so that's, pretty serious. I'm really excited, albeit it's a little bit sort of daunting, I won't lie. It is my first layout and I know that I'm going to make a lot of mistakes. Fortunately, I've had Rinke. Rinke is a very experienced Dutch model railroader with many years and many layouts under his belt, and he joined me for a day a couple of days ago and kind of guided me through the initial process. He also helped me kind of adjust the layout plans and structure them to be a little bit more interesting and have a bit more purpose to them. I think initially the sort of double loop that I had with a few loco yards is one thing, but to give locos purpose and change angles and stuff is really exciting, and it just gives the track more function and more playability, I guess, at the end of the day. So I appreciate that very much. Thank you, Rinke. I know you're watching this, so thanks. Thanks for that. And to you guys as well, I've had a lot of comments and feedback on my initial update video, or my initial layout video, and there was a lot of great suggestions in terms of inclines, what I should do with those sort of things, and I've taken them to heart and will definitely be incorporating them into the layout, as you will see in this video. So that's really exciting. Anyways, I've flapped my jaws for a little bit too long now, so let's get straight into it and take a look. So, we have a layout. Well, the beginnings of one anyways. It's a really daunting thing trying to get going with your first layout. Actually bedding stuff down with cork and gluing stuff. It feels very permanent once you do it for the first time, and it's kind of put me off it for a while. I won't lie, I've kind of faffed around, unsure of what to do. But with a bit of guidance and also some feedback from you guys, I've finally made this happen. So a big thank you to Rinke from the Model Train Shop. He spent a lot of time with me, kind of guiding me through the process, and we did it together, and it was a fantastic day. We had a couple of beers, had some food, and we had a couple of laughs as well, so it was a great time. So essentially what you see here, the permanent track that is laid down is the outside express line, that is the main line, and I think that was important to do because everything kind of branches off that. So it made sense to just get that in solid and know what that position is before we start working on stuff like the loco depot, the station, the fiddle yard, the whiskey distillery, and all of that jazz. As you can see over there, there's the incline that will be leading up to the distillery. Now, when I previously spoke about this layout, quite a few people actually suggested bringing that incline back further, because my initial plan was to have it somewhere here, halfway up. And I think that's a great idea, and I've actually taken that into account, because now we've got that incline that leads all the way from the back there, all the way around and up, across the main line, and then towards the distillery, which makes it a lot more gentle. I think larger locos will even be able to handle that. As far as I understand, it's about a 2-degree incline, so that's very doable for pretty much every single locomotive, which is fantastic. However, this has not been without problem. So let's talk about that. And those problems come in the form of inclines and declines. Now, in order to create a little bit more interest on the layout, and also just create like a perception of depth, we added this polystyrene on the left-hand side of the layout, or the sort of controller side of the layout, just to create a sense of distance. And what that means is that we've had to sort of shave back this section of the layout so that there's a more gentle slope leading down to the baseboard. I didn't want it to just be like a static, flat baseboard. And I think that we've actually done a really good job here of just creating a slight height adjustment that makes it a little bit more interesting. However, the problem is too much over here in terms of decline, and the loco starts struggling. Now, there's a turnout point at the top of this, and it's really important that this isn't too steep. Otherwise, when locos get to the top of the ridge, or the top of, I guess, the height of this, that it's not too difficult, it's not being too steep, that they're essentially lifting back and then struggling to get over that set point. So that's been important. Now this side is pretty much sorted now. I need to still bed it down, probably add 1 or 2 more pieces of cork to it just to give it a little bit more of a gentle slope. But for the most part, it's done. The other side has proven much more difficult. Quickly, before I jump across to our troublesome tracks on that side, I just wanted to show you the incline that goes up to essentially the whiskey distillery, which I plan to build a sort of mountainside on that side of the layout. This has been an awesome kit. We actually picked this up from Woodland Scenics, and it's turned out to be a really easy to use piece of kit that has created a very gentle incline all the way up. Now, this drop onto the baseboard for the main line is done on purpose as well, because we needed essentially to build up enough of a gap between baseboard and the bridge so that locos could pass safely underneath it. The idea will be to actually have this as a double line through the middle here, which means that the bridge is probably going to extend quite far across the main lines just to get over to the next mountain region and safely pass up to the whiskey distillery. But yeah, as it stands, I haven't bedded this down or anything yet. I'm just using it for testing purposes right now. But locos are not struggling up this, which is fantastic. It's a brilliant piece of kit. Woodland Scenics do make it, and if you are looking at doing something like that, then I'd strongly recommend a piece of kit like this. What's quite nice is that it is flexible, so you can actually pull it out and get more of a gentle slope if you're looking to do that. And just pinning it down and gluing it is no issue at all. But anyways, let's get back to that troublesome track. So here is our sort of troublesome track at this point. Initially what I had here is we have a third radius that leads into a short straight, which is this section here, just out of camera. That led then into a second radius that came down, and as you can see, this was the initial sort of lay down of that piece of track. Now what happened was, because there's a decline as well as a switch from a straight into second radius, it was just too steep and too sharp for larger locomotives. So what ended up happening was we would get a lot of derailment. So Scotsman was derailing, the Britannia was derailing, and obviously that's also just to do with a very light tender. But the reality is I can't have locos struggling around this corner, especially because it's going to essentially be underneath a mountain, and it's going to be a nightmare to have locos derailing every time they come down here. It's just pointless. What's the point of that? So what I've done is I've ripped up all the cork and the track, and I've inserted a third radius curve, which is set piece from Hornby, attached that to the short little straight as it goes down the decline, and then moved out my Pico flex track to have a more gentle curve into this corner here. So I'm yet to sort of bed that down, but I will do so shortly, and then we'll test our new loco on it. So that's that. This is a lot gentler now, I think. Overall, I think previously the incline stopped around about here, which made it far, far too steep. And I think the introduction of a third radius as opposed to a second is much kinder on long wheelbase locomotives. What kind of sparked my idea actually was Rob from Little Wicket was talking about his layout and what he had done previously and what kind of mistakes he had made and what he would change. And I think this was one of them leading up to, I think, the church area that he had. So as a matter of interest, let's just check here what sort of angle we're looking at. 2 to 1 degree all the way up. I think that's pretty good. So we need a loco to test on it. Let's take a look. Alright guys, here is our 9F. She is a Hornby, a rather old girl at that. She's definitely seen better days, I will say. Unfortunately, I don't have the R number for this locomotive as it was missing from the box that I picked it up in. The box has basically fallen apart, so there's not much to show there, unfortunately. I was chatting to somebody in the comments the other day about freight. I believe his name was Stephen. Stephen, if you're watching this, hello, how are you doing? And we were just chatting about the fact that British freight is so lovely, and obviously for a good reason. They're such powerful, beautiful looking locomotives, and I think the 9F is kind of the pinnacle of that. Being sort of late BR and the end of steam, this was kind of the ultimate powerhouse for freight during that time. So as you can see, there's not a lot of detail going on here. Pretty much everything on this loco is plastic injection. There are no separately fitted parts, aside from other than perhaps the smoke deflectors, which are a little wobbly, probably need a little bit of attention. Interestingly enough, there is a hole in the smoke deflectors, which implies that there was some kind of name on this locomotive. I'm not sure about that. I know that most 9Fs were not named, other than maybe Evening Star and maybe one or two others, I'm not sure. You guys are the experts, and somebody's always there to tell me what I got right and what I got wrong, so let me know what 9Fs had names, and if this 9F potentially had a name at some point. I'd love to know that. But she's nothing to write home about, unfortunately. I guess the years have been poor to her. But I have run her and she runs incredibly well, so that's always a good thing. She is a tender driven loco. There's just some Hilton sweat on there. She is a tender driven locomotive. I believe that's a Ringfield. Nothing new or surprising there really. She's going to be pushed from the back, but she's kind of the perfect loco to test on my layout, simply because she's so long and she's got such a long wheelbase. That is a lot of wheels. So that should be a really good test of corners and inclines and declines, because previously what I had actually used her for was to sort of suss out how bad my incline was. And previously what was happening is, as she was going up the incline, the front bogie would essentially lift up and off the track, and that would derail her as she came around the corner. So it's important to have a loco like this to be able to test just how severe your incline is, and then, like I did, reduce that incline. So perfect. Anyways, enough of the little showcase. Let's put her on the track and test her on those inclines. guys, I hope you enjoyed the look at the layout. I'm not doing like a step-by-step kind of thing just because I'm so new at it. I think this would probably be a mistake to misguide people on how to build layouts if they're watching this, say, for the first time and building their own first layout. So if you are that kind of person, I would direct you to someone like That Model Railway Guy, or Little Wicket, or Double O'Neill, or Charlie, Chadwick Model Railway. Those guys all know their stuff. They're doing an amazing job with their layouts, so please do check them out if you're in that sort of position. I need a name for this layout. I'm not quite sure what to go with. It is, for those of you who have been watching the channel, you would know it's set in the sort of West Highlands and it's a heritage line. It is fictitious, but it needs a nice little Scottish name, and I would like to open it up to you guys to help me name this layout. I think it would be really cool to have a layout with a name that is suggested by one of my viewers. That would be really cool. So the floor is yours. Fire away, and I'll be looking forward to reading those suggestions from you guys. Anyways, if you've enjoyed this video, drop me a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate that. And until I see you guys in the next video, all the best, keep well, keep your engines fired, and stay on track. Ciao.